we're just going to be jumping right into it because we're going to be making a Boros Goblins deck. I know it's kind of crazy to say it, but that's what we're going to be doing today. I'm super excited. I feel like ultimately Goblins is a red X deck. It can really be anything, and I think that not really trying to like focus too hard on anything in specific is actually super helpful. I think that the main constraint with Goblins is you want to make sure that you have like some resiliency in the late game and that you don't just lose to a Pyroclasm, because they reprinted Pyroclasm in Duskmourn. So it's really important to know that you are going to lose all of your Goblins 3 or 4 times in a game. And in order to play through that, in order to phone was yelling at me. In order to play through a bunch of sweepers, in order to play through a bunch of interaction, you can just set it down here. In order to play through a bunch of interaction, you kind of just have to like stagger your threats. Don't play everything all at once. Take it slow, steady. Also, you need to make sure that you have a backup plan, right? My main backup plan has always been Krenko. Being able to tap Krenko to make dudes is really efficient way of rebuilding your board after they Pyroclasm or Sunfall or split up. So now that we're going to be going away from a mostly red with green cards in the sideboard Gruul deck, instead we're going to be playing Boros with white cards in the main. This will allow us to have interaction. This will allow us to have a lot of resiliency too. Playing Elspeth is going to be really cool because a big 5-drop threat kind of allows you, if you're flooding, to just slam something and immediately have something that generates value, allows you to grind, allows you to get to the late game more effectively, not really have to worry so much about, flooding, because the mitigation is built into the Planeswalker, right? You can draw a billion lands, but you're still taking game actions every turn. So I really like the idea of playing Elspeth and Goblins. Also, when you have the high roll and you're able to just tap Krenko, you're able to just tap it, make a bunch of Goblins with Elspeth out because it gets doubled. I feel like it's going to be super cool. Also, there's that 2-mana Boros instant that allows you to either make 2 1/1 Goblins at instant speed, or you can give a creature +X Rex the number of creatures you control. Goblins traditionally doesn't play Monstrous Rage, but I think that it's also really important to have like some kind of combat trick, right? With Modern, we have Vile. We can Vile in Goblins, and we can just surprise opponents with either Lords or like damage, so then they died at first strike or whatever. In Standard, we don't really have too much like that. This is going to be really nice because you're attacking with a bunch of 1/1s, and your opponent has a decision, do I just take 4? They shrug. They just say, take 4. And then you say, well, okay, I pump this one +4, so this is a 5. So you take 8, it doubles your damage, really? Like, it's insane. And so I feel like Goblins is going to be Boros, and you could even splash another color off that. If you add, like, some craziness, if you add some stuff that you want, I feel like you can really brew Goblins a bunch of different ways. You could play Jund, you can play anything red-based, right? Grixis, Jund, Mardu, and then I'm going to be trying Jeskai, because I feel like the new Izzet Siege is also ridiculous. Having the ability to give all of your creatures +1/+0, trample, and haste, that's going to allow your Krenko to come down and make a bunch of tokens, which then will get buffed and attack. Like, there's just so much crazy stuff that you can, that you do with Krenko. So much stuff that you do with Elspeth, and there's synergies in the white token strategy with the Goblins cards that I think are strong enough to try out. I was almost trying Caretaker's Talent in Standard back then, before, what was that? What was the set that made Pixie is from Duskmourn, I believe? Yeah, so since Duskmourn, I haven't really tested Caretaker's Talent, because that was back. The solution was I couldn't beat Caretaker's Talent, so I would play Caretaker's Talent and become a Caretaker's Talent Goblin deck. But that didn't really work out because you just lose to a lot of either the other decks while you're doing that, and you still don't even really beat the Caretaker's Talent deck, so it doesn't end up being worth it in the end. However, the idea was there, right? The idea of we want something that gives us resiliency. We want something that draws us cards, gets us to the late game. And I think that's really what Elspeth is going to do, right? It doesn't draw us cards, but it creates pseudo card advantage in the way that it creates free tokens. It gives our guys evasion. It puts counters on all of our dudes, so it lords them up. I feel like it's really important to the strategy that we're doing. Also, it's really good in the grindy mirrors. If we're just like at an impasse and we're staring at each other, I'm leaving up blockers to not die. They're leaving up interaction. I just slam an Elspeth. That's another thing they have to interact with. And then I uptick it immediately. All my guys gain flying. They can either alpha strike in the air or block and just slowly creep up, kind of like an Circle of Courage, I think is what it's called. The enchantment that at the end step you untap all your dudes, you put a counter on them. So I feel like it's very similar to that style effect, where you're just trying to grind to the late game, believing that once you get to the late game, you win, right? If you have a Krenko and an Elspeth, if you get to the late game, you win. That's just it. Like, there should be no arguing. There should be no trying to figure out what's happening. Right? You tap a Krenko with an Elspeth out, you win. The tokens don't have haste, so there's a window for them to board wipe. But if they don't have a board wipe, right, they only have spot removal, you just slowly get there over time. You're just like alpha strike, they block a bunch, stay alive, then block a bunch, and then die. So also, having white gives us access to Sheltered by Ghosts and Split Up, which are both really, really cool cards. If we're in a board wipe, or if we're in a board stall, we can go like, attack, or even better, right? If we're in a tempo situation where we're both swinging, Split Up, they've swung out, we untap, we play Split Up, we wipe their entire board, then we attack. Like, sequencing wise, I feel like having access to white is going to be really, really cool. Also gives us a bunch of like, good answers to, most things that we just didn't have before, right? Before we were really struggling to answer enchantments and flyers, we had to splash green for an answer for Zur and an answer for Temporary Lockdown and Authority of the Consoles. But white is like the best sideboard color, so we're gonna have access to just a billion different tools. And I feel like just trying to figure out like whether or not we innovate with the deck and try to like slot in a bunch of different things and we cut other cards, or if we just take the shell of the successful goblins list that we've been testing, and we just take out the low performing cards and plug in the better cards from the set, right? Like maybe we trim a Krenko and we trim like something else, like a 2-drop for 2 Elspeths. We cut the 3 2/1s that we play, the Grease Wrench Goblins, and then we put in 3. Then we put in 3 of the 1-drop Goblin that mobilizes, and you pay 2 to sack it to deal damage equal to the number of creatures you control to a creature. And then we probably just like trim on the Draconautics Engineer, the one that makes dragons. We cut Agatha's. That gives us 3 more slots, and that's the instance. So we still play Draconautics Engineer. We just trim, I guess we could trim an Agatha's and trim a Draconautics Engineer, and then we just have the same list with a stronger core, with the white cards plugged in to the main. And then we just have the option, right, of being this Boros tokens deck in the games that we can't manage the mono red beatdown plan. And I think that that might be where we want to be. I think that having like versatility, because in a lot of games you're not always going to be able to be the aggressor. There's games when I'm on the draw and I'm really like trying to figure out how I'm going to play the game because I'm not on the play and I can't be the aggressor, right? You like have to like do a bunch of extra steps just to play your deck in a way that it's not built to be played. Having some extra resiliency gives your deck flexibility, and will probably allow me to like just get some games that I otherwise wouldn't have access to, the ability to win. super excited about Boros Goblins. I think it's in a great spot right now. We were Gruul, and Gruul for no reason. There was Paw Patch and Obstinate and Baloth in the sideboard. We never cast Obstinate and Baloth. It's for the fear of missing out, or it's for the bounce deck, the Nurturing Pixie bounce decks. Sorry, at work they asked me to stay 2 hours late, and I was like, sure, I'll take the money. Let's do it. Knowing that I had to drive out here and then drive back. But it's nice because I get to do another episode of the Goblin Delivery Driver podcast, which is, it's cool. I don't get to do enough of these. It's nice to just have something recording while I talk. Because usually when I'm driving, I'm just brainstorming by myself. So thank you all so much for listening and watching. It means the world to me. Being red-based right now is a bad thing because every deck is talking about the mice deck. They're looking for the mice deck. They're teched in the main for the mice deck. Being able to go a little bit bigger with an Elspeth, being able to go a little bit more late game, I think will be a benefit overall. Elspeths are coming out again in the mice matchup, of course, but we have like Shelter by Ghosts that we can just put in response. So like there's like a lot of agency that we have, and I think that in the main, having a more diverse curve and more top end threats will allow us to like slam the game pretty often, more often. Even if we just have a singular Howl Squad heavy, right? Like they board wipe, we top deck Howl Squad, we play it, we go to combat, make a token, attack for 1. Next turn, make another token, or no, next turn play Elspeth, 0 Elspeth, put a counter on all my dudes, they gain flying. So they took 1, they went to 19. Now they're going to be taking the one that Howl Squad makes in the ground because that didn't get the counter. Then the one that got the counter is 2, so that's 3. Plus the Howl Squad's another 3, so that's 6. So they would go from 19 down to 13, and that's just with the Howl Squad heavy if you're zeroing Elspeth. Like, if you're not making tokens, actually I take it back. It's 12 because when you make the token with Howl Squad after you play the Elspeth, you get a second Goblin. So super, super excited. There's gonna be some craziness going on. Dragonautica makes 2 dragons with Elspeth. Like, it's just like insane. Insanity! And I'm so excited to be a part of it. The Goblins are really coming together. And it's gonna be a great time. I'm gonna focus on driving. I just want to get all those ideas out there for y'all. Thank you so much for watching. It's been the Goblin Delivery Driver podcast. And until next time, I'm gonna stream tonight. Standard grind must continue, 10:30. Till then, I hope you have a beautiful day and